What could be more humiliating than having to wear a hot, pink jumpsuit in prison? Well, although humiliating you was what it was intended to do by the prison staff, what if I told you that instead it became almost like a badge of honor? A declaration to the staff and the other prisoners that you are a proud participant in the most disturbing prison game. It's called the Jack game. And yes, Jack as in, Jack. The object of the game? Expose yourself to a female staff member and then pleasure yourself to completion while that staff member watches, and do not get in trouble for it. While this game now sounds pretty simple by that definition, you have no idea how deep, intricate, and complicated this game is going to get. Real quick, I'm not glorifying or condoning any of this. I don't at all agree with exposing yourself to an unsuspecting woman who is just trying to do her job. Although they call it a game, it's not a game. It's a crime. Now, why do these inmates do this? Why do exhibitionists do what they do? I'm no psychologist, but if I had to take a guess, I would say it's probably because after a while in prison, these men start to crave that sexual validation they receive from females. And this is why most of them want the female to be fully aware of what they're doing, and they don't try to hide it. This is where the risk for the inmate comes in of getting in trouble, and I suppose that's why they call it a game and refer to it as the Jack game. And I suppose the reward for winning this game would be if the female sees what they're doing, watches them do it, and then moves along without saying anything and without reporting it to her fellow staff members. The inmate then takes that as, hey, she didn't get me in trouble. She didn't say anything. She probably liked it, and she probably desires me sexually. Maybe if I wasn't locked up, I would have had a chance with her. And I think that gives them something. That gives them a rush, and it gives them this reward. And with that, this game comes along with its very own culture inside prison. You have inmates asking other inmates, hey, are you in the game? Inmates passing along tips to other inmates about which staff members report you for doing it and which ones don't. Which nurse to try, which officer not to try. Victory stories of one inmate in particular who successfully exposed himself to a female staff member who is known for reporting anyone who does try that with her, but didn't report that inmate. Something like that is seen as an accomplishment, and even if you don't participate in this game as an inmate, you can still get wrapped up in it unwillingly. There's a term they use called the gun line, and so you have an inmate who's trying to play this game, and he may be hiding in his cell looking out the window of his door. He may be hiding around a corner somewhere in the common area. He may be in the shower peeking around slightly the shower curtain at this, maybe a female nurse or a female staff member who is making her rounds around the cell block and around the dorm, and he's trying to do his business and do this game with her. And most inmates are not going to be aware that you're doing that, because we're not looking to see what you're doing in the shower or anything like that, or we're not paying attention to your window to see what you're doing in your cell. So a guy might unknowingly walk and get in between this line of sight from this inmate to this female staff member who he's looking at while he does this, and you'll hear people shout out, hey, you're in the gun line, get out of the way, because you're blocking the view, and now how am I supposed to do my business when you're in the way and I can't see this lady? They even develop techniques and strategies to kind of feel out and test out a female to see if she's likely going to report him or not if he does this game with her. Like one technique referred to as shadow boxing. This is where an inmate will stand close to a female staff member or talk to her while his hand is on the inside of his jumpsuit waistband, but not inside his underwear. He will slightly mimic the motion of jacking and see if the female staff member reacts. If she doesn't and says nothing, then he will likely try to do the real thing with her the next time he sees her or comes across her. If she does say something like, "Hey, what are you doing?" he'll quickly remove his hand from his waistband and say, "Oh, nothing, I was just scratching my leg." They'll usually be able to get away with using an excuse like this because it's a very known and common thing for inmates to kind of rest their hands right inside their waistband when they're just relaxing or standing, walking, anything, because it's just a natural place for inmates to put them. There's no pockets in these jumpsuits, and it's just a common thing you see all the time. So, where does the pink jumpsuit come into play? Well, if reported, the inmate will have to go into solitary confinement for a certain period of time, and then afterwards he will also have to spend a certain length of time in general population wearing a bright pink jumpsuit. This was meant probably to be sort of a warning or a heads up to the female staff about this inmate, and also be kind of embarrassing for the inmate wearing it. But instead, the inmates wore it proudly, kind of making it something to joke around about with their fellow inmates. And they were glad that it sort of displayed to the female staff members that they were all too happy to expose themselves to you too if you got too close or stayed around talking to them for a little too long. So a rule went into effect that if you got caught and charged 3 times for exposing yourself to a staff member, you would be charged with a real, official, sex crime related charge. This has done very little to deter the participants from playing this game, and has caused them to go to even greater lengths to play this game without getting caught, such as one technique where the inmate would tie a shoestring around his foot and then run the shoestring up along the inside of his jumpsuit pants leg, and with the other end of the shoestring ultimately being tied around his you-know-what. Would then go talk to a female staff member and begin tapping his foot in a very casual manner. And by tapping his foot, of course, you can imagine that makes the string go up and down, back and forth, with that tugging and that movement. And he'll tap his foot to pleasure himself. And the whole time, most likely the female staff member is not even going to realize what's happening. For reasons I imagine are related to the ineffectiveness of the pink jumpsuit and the pride of wearing it amongst the other inmates, South Carolina state prisons at least no longer use the pink jumpsuits. And female staff members of these prisons continue to be the victims of this disturbing game every single day. There you have the story of the pink jumpsuit game, aka the Jack game. Please let me know in the comments below if you want more videos like this. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please like and subscribe if you haven't already, because I will be back soon with another. And most of all, thank you for watching.